Hello, welcome to Infinite Prattle. Today is a special episode. The podcast is 2 years old, and I actually missed the anniversary, really, technically. But yeah, the podcast is 2 years old, and just gonna have a bit of a trip down memory lane today. So stay with us and join me on a historical trip of Infinite Prattle. You're listening to Infinite Prattle with your host, Stephen. Thanks for joining me for unscripted, unedited, everything. Thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you're very well. If you're a first time listener, welcome. If you're not, well done. You've lasted more than one episode. So thank you. So today's episode is going to be a little bit of a. People always say like these episodes on like YouTube and stuff is it's a bit of a cop out or whatever, but I don't think it is. I think sometimes you gotta reflect and you've got to go back and you've got to look at things, and you know what, I'm quite happy to do that. I'm quite happy to have a look at what we've done, what's been done in the past, and kind of reflect on that and see if there's anything I can go back and maybe, eat, or is there anything that I was doing previously that I've forgotten I was doing and it was actually a good idea. So we're just going to have a bit of a history of the podcast, where it all started and where we've come to, and probably listen to maybe some snippets of some random episodes that I get up on my phone. So it's going to be, as normal, pretty organic and pretty unscripted and all that sort of jazz. So yeah, so 2 years ago, well, just over 2 years ago, obviously, because I didn't just go, I'm going to do a podcast and just go and record one. But just over 2 years ago, probably like in the April or so, I was looking for something to do, like the March, April time. My wife basically said, why don't you start a podcast? So I was like, oh yeah, I could do. I've said before, like I say to my friends at work, it's, probably a suggestion from her to give my headpiece. Not my head, her piece. Not my head, her head piece. They said herpes then. That'd have been weird. Definitely haven't got herpes. No, it's gone wrong already. Anyway, so I thought that was a good idea, and it's quite. I like talking, and it's been quite cathartic, and it's structured me. Give me something like every time, it's give me a structure of something to do and focus on, and it's actually blossomed a little bit of a business for me, potentially. So I kind of registered the old podcast name Stephen Speak as a media production company, and changed the podcast name to Infinite Prattle, because when I first started, I decided to call it Stephen Speaks or Stephen Speak, with an exclamation mark, Stephen Speak, because I thought that's what I'm going to be doing, and that's what it was called, and I thought you can't get more simple than that. Designed a little bit of a logo. So over a few weeks researching how to do a podcast, how to do it, what do you even do, how do you upload it, stumbled across my host, which is Buzzsprout. I thought that seems easy enough. A really good website and stuff. Not a sponsor or anything, There is a link in the description if you do want to start your own, and we both get a bit of credit. So there is an affiliate link, but this isn't a sponsored episode. It's just that's who I use, and it's just been really simple to use them. And they have some really good, helpful videos, and they send you emails and stuff about, things that are going on in the podcasting world. So I was like, right, okay, so I know how to upload one. I've got some equipment to record one. What am I going to speak about? And a lot of the podcasting websites basically say to you, like, you shouldn't have too much of a wide topic. You should find something. I'm laughing because anyone that listens to this podcast knows that it's not very focused. But I didn't want to do that because my life has so much stuff in it, and I'm interested in everything. I've always been the sort of person, the sort of kid that would ask questions and would be open-minded to anything and want to learn a little bit about everything. So, I didn't want to make it just like about my love of Lego or my love of motorbikes or my love of gadgets and gizmos, because in my view, I would have to make separate podcasts for all of them. And the way I do this one is that's just all rolled into one. So I may do a Lego podcast, may talk to someone about Lego, which I have done, and I may at some point do an episode on the Philadelphia Eagles again, or motorbikes, or anything really. But I didn't want to channel myself and just restrict myself. So I recorded my first one and released it. I put a trailer up for it first, about a week before I released my first episode, because I thought you get a trailer out there, promote it a little bit. And I released my first one on the 1st of May. I know this episode's going out on the 12th, so I've kind of missed the anniversary, really, because I actually realised it last weekend when the other one was scheduled. And I was thinking, should I pull that episode and do this episode, and then postpone that till this week? And I was like, you know what, it's all set up, and I'll just leave it. And I've been quite busy, so I really didn't have the time or the energy to record 15 minutes of audio, stupidly. And so I thought I'll do it today. So technically, it's like 53 and a half weeks ago that I started the podcast, or my first upload went up. And that episode was called "This Is Stephen Speak," and it was just over half an hour long, and I was quite proud of it. I didn't know what I was going to talk about. I actually don't know what I talk about. I think I just kind of talk about what I hope the podcast is going to be. Let's have a read of the description. So the description says, let's see if I remember. So the description says, the premiere episode 1, how exciting. Well, I'm excited. In this episode, I attempt to, and there's loads of little brackets, to explain what the podcast will be about. Brace yourself. Meandering explanation with much vagueness. I don't really explain everything I mention for 2 reasons. 1, I thoroughly chat about certain subjects separately later at a later date, and my brain doesn't always work back and swap through threads before finishing fully, which is very much how our brain works. So I actually, one of the things in editing this episode, which I didn't edit at all, I literally just trying to adjust the audio a little bit to see if it sounded any better, and pretty much it. Yeah, maybe you should take a listen to the start of it, and let's see what it sounds like. I've got my phone linked up to my audio stuff, so I should be able to play it. Oh,
Stephen Speak, a podcast about everything and nothing.
Straight into the music there. Very short as well. Very short. That I remember being longer than that. So I really let that symbol play out.
Hello, welcome to Stephen Speak. This is the premiere episode. Very exciting. Episode number 1. Have no idea what it's going to be about. Probably just about the podcast, actually. Probably.
See, I even then, my very first episode, I started and had no idea what it was going to be about. Didn't know if it was going to be about the podcast, whether it was going to be about a subject that would just come to me. So pretty standard. Start doesn't mean to go on. Hey, Steve. Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of let me explain a little bit about Stephen Speak. The tagline "Everything and Nothing" doesn't really explain anything.
I feel like I'm a bit nervous because I'm talking a bit quick, which I do sometimes, but.
So, the everything part of it is basically...
Yeah, so everything and nothing was my original tagline. I still use that. Because I do kind of talk about everything and nothing. And that came about because I wanted to talk about everything, but nothing was out of bounds, and don't expect me to stay on topic, basically. Explain too much. It's just going to be me rambling, pretty much, which... I appreciate anyone that stays around and listens to me ramble.
Everything that's in my brain.
There you go.
Is a scary
It can be. He's not wrong.
And the nothing bit is basically that everything that I may say.
Yes, indeed.
So this all came around doing the podcast.
We know, Stephen. Thank you. So that was the first episode. So I was happy because. I'd started the old, started the process, and I'd done my little logo, and the episode artwork for this is half my new one and half my very, very first one. Post recording, Stephen should sort that out if I still have the file, which I believe I do. So if it's just the Infinite Prattle logo, then future me couldn't sort it out. But anyway, it's really weird going back and listening to these, just because it doesn't seem that long ago, and I can't believe it's been 2 years, like 52 weeks times 2. I nearly said 52 weeks, but that's a year. 104 weeks ago, I released this. And I'll go through some of the episodes. And some of my favourite ones, because I think there are some episodes that haven't done as well as I was, maybe hoping so. Because the first few episodes of Steven Speak, as it was, were very much like... The first one was obviously just rambling about the podcast itself, and then the second one I was going up the stairs and I was thinking about how I use my imagination. So the second episode was called "Come with Me to a World of Pure Imagination," and that was that was something that I never thought would be too much of a hit, but it's got one of the highest downloads. It was just me talking about how I basically use my imagination and pretend that I'm being blown up when I'm running up the stairs, or and just stuff like that. It's a good episode. I can just go and check it out. But I'd already got the bug at this point for podcasting. I think after that first episode and uploading it and then seeing some people download it and seeing like the places in the world that people downloading it, kind of like, oh my god, I was like there's someone in America listening to it, and there's someone in India listening to it, and there's someone in Africa listening to it, and there's people from Crew listening to it where I live. It was a bit surreal. So in the second episode, I literally introduce the fact I was going to create a spin-off. It's never too early to start a spin-off when you've only had one previous episode. So I decided to start something called Extra Speak, which, because I was enjoying it so much, and it wasn't really that onerous to like produce, etc. Because when I first started, I didn't have my Mixcast, didn't have my Tascam Mixcast, didn't have like a lot of the stuff I have now. I literally had my Mac, Logic Pro 10, and a microphone, and that's all I had. And all I did, I'd record it, master it, upload it. That was a good one. No YouTube at this point, so I decided that because the process wasn't too much, that I thought there's probably other things that could take too long to speak about, and things that were like little sound bites, really, like a few minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And I could talk about something, and and done and dusted. So Extra Speak, Steven Speak, Extra Speak was a thing that started, and it's no longer going, unfortunately, because I changed the format. And they weren't getting the listens that the main episodes were. Not all the time, at least, anyway. So my first one of that was on May the 18th, 2022, and it was called Dear Chicago, and it was literally just me talking about the Ryan Adams song Dear Chicago, and what a great song that is, and just describing it, basically, just chatting about it. And I did loads of little episodes like that. So one was called Dandelions Must Die, and that was just me about lopping dandelion heads off when I was a kid, and seeing them growing in the street, and and then there was like another one called Ooh La La, and I kind of themed it of like each had a topic, so it was a thing, music, or I would say this one's about music, this one's about art, or this one's about entertainment or something. Kind of frame it, kind of thing. Over the months that progressed, I was getting steady listens, like not massive figures, and I won't lie to you, like I was getting like anywhere between, like when I first started, anywhere between like 0 and like 20 to 25 listens per week. And it's actually dropped down again to that, I think, because of the rebranding, and I don't know whether people don't like it or whether people have lost it and they haven't figured out where to find it because it's changed names. I don't know. Maybe the algorithm still has to get me, because I'd been going for so long under Steven Speak. The algorithm had picked stuff up and the hashtags were helping and stuff like that. And maybe me changing it to Infinite Prattle has maybe go back to square one kind of thing. So so I carried on the extra speed for quite a while. So I think into series 3, and I ended that because you know it was getting too much. Really, it was just getting too much. Yeah. So it was. So I found it. So it was at the end of series 2 when I stopped Steven Speak Extra. So it ran for 2 seasons. So got a good vibe out of it. So what I would do is I'd do the main episode first Sunday and I'd do the extra speak midweek. And the extra speak was always meant to be less than 15 minutes. And I'm just looking at my episodes actually on Buzzsprout. I probably need to go back and rename some of them because at the start I didn't name the season, didn't name the episodes, didn't say they were extra speaks or anything like that. So I think probably I need to go back through actually and rename some stuff and maybe check on my taglines and stuff like that. Maybe I do. Why are they in? They're in some of them. These are in a weird order. I don't know why. Anyway. So we are on series 4 now. Series 4 was a new thing for me. I decided that I wanted to rebrand because I was looking at using the Steven Speak logo and such for my media company, and I had this thing in my head like prattling on and prattle, and I love that word. I don't know why, I just love it. And people have said that I could talk infinitely, and then it just kept going around my head, and I was thinking, I could rename to Infinite Prattle. And so that's when that came along. So I rejigged the tune. I'm going to do a bit more stuff with the tunage and stuff. I think that the logo needs a little bit of a rework, but it'll stay pretty much fundamentally as it is. Just want to like clean it up slightly. It annoys me that it's not perfect. I don't want it to be perfect, but I want it to be more perfect than it is. I want it to be perfectly imperfect. And I'm going to do some other theme tune as well. I think I'm going to have a bit of a rejig. So Infinite Prattle's got its proper own theme, and yes, and this is where I'm going off. Like Infinite Prattle is the name of it. That won't change. Will I do spin-offs again? Who knows? Maybe I'll restart Extra Speak, Infinite Prattle, times 2, or I don't know. Who knows? I just know that I've been doing this for 2 years, and yeah, it's not brought me fame and fortune, but that's never the reason I started it. I've said this before, and even though I've got like an affiliation link, and I have recently signed up to Patreon, I've not really finished my page or anything, and you can subscribe through Buzzsprout, and it would be lovely if people did do that, or I do it because it makes me happy, and the occasional time that someone does comment and say this was a great episode or I really enjoyed that, and I've got great ratings as well, so the people that do listen to it, I don't know if it's a certain type of person, but I always get 5-star ratings, so I'm really pleased with that. Like, and at the moment, that's all I can hope for. If I do go viral on an episode, like brilliant, that'd be ace. But I'm not doing it for that. And I've got my business now, so I'm looking at more of the production side as well. So maybe helping other people produce podcasts and using my limited but not limited experience currently of helping people and doing some other audio stuff, and I've got my band going on as well, and it's not my band, our band, and yeah, things are good, and I've just really enjoyed it, and I can't believe it's been 2 years. So anyone that's been listening, if you're listening right now, thank you so much, thank you to infinity. See what I did there. And go back and listen to some episodes. I think some of the ones that I really like that probably don't get them as much love as they deserve. Let's go through. Let's have a look. So there's a couple very much in like season 1. Oh yeah, what it'll be is one from August 2022, and that's go and have a listen and see what you think it's about. Can you get it from the title of the episode? It's an extra speak episode. What'll it be? There's a clue there. And then there's an excerpt from the book that I'm writing. Oi dickhead, where's my train? Because I work on the railway, and I used to work on the platform. Yeah, and I just rest in peace, Mom. That's about the Queen when she passed away. I Want to Be Your Lover, which is a Prince one that actually didn't do too bad as a download. Where's the other? Music That Soars? I think that's an episode that we should go and listen to. These are all from season 1. And my Gremlins Fear is another good episode, I think. I say that, I feel like they are, but I never really go back and listen to any of them, so they may be crap, and I may have grandioso feelings of them. And go back and listen to the guest speaks. Like they've been a feature since series 2. So January 2023 was the first time I had someone on the show, and that was Steve, and he was talking about Star Wars and the Turtles, and it's a great episode. Definitely go back and check that out. And then Johnny's episode, he's been on the show now twice, so he's got 4 episodes over the seasons. First appeared again in season 2, talking about his Arctic adventures, and most recently his adventures through Asia. Brilliant episodes, really great guy. And then I've also had my pal Scott on talking about Star Trek. We've had local council on talking about green spaces, well-being spaces. I've had someone from work on Cat most recently, talking about love, life, and loss, and losing her partner. I've had Dex on, who is actually coming to my house tomorrow, the day this podcast is released, because we've kind of become like friends, and he's coming to visit me, and we're gonna have a chat and go out for some food and a drink, and we may record an episode of a podcast or two. We don't know what we're gonna do with them. We'll see what happens. They may be on this show. They may be on his podcast. We don't really know yet. We have discussed maybe doing a show together. So watch this space. But yeah, he's coming up, and so so the podcast has given me loads over the last 2 years. And go back and check if you're new to the podcast and you've started listening. Go back and listen to series 4, obviously, but go back to the start. Like, listen to the evolution. And I hope I've evolved. I hope I've got better. I hope I sound better. I hope I'm not as incoherent. You can't wish for everything. But yeah, I just love the journey that it's been in the last 2 years, and who knows where I'll be in 2.5 years. 2.5 years? Why 2.5 years? Where I'll be in 2 years from now. And yeah, I'm just excited. I'm just happy that the podcast is still going, people are still listening, and please like, share, comment, subscribe, and tell a friend to listen. It would help me out loads. And if you do listen to the show and you like it, just give me a thumbs up, make a comment. It means so much to me when people interact. I've said before, like, I'm just in my room recording this, talking to no one. And yeah, onwards and upwards for the podcast. After Series 4 finishes, I'm going to have a little bit of a break again, as I normally do. And I want to come back in Series 5 with some new features. And I'm going to try to stick to some sort of plan for episodes, so they are a bit more structured. But being me, I don't want to plan anything too much, so I'm just going to try and pre-plan episode ideas rather than structure the actual episode, because I want to keep it prattly, and if I did that anyway, I would lose enjoyment out of it. It wouldn't be as natural. So yeah, anyway, thank you very much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the little trip down memory lane with me. If you are a listener, regular listener, and you've been from the start, thank you. And yeah, encourage your friends to have a listen. You never know, they may enjoy the random prattlings of a middle-aged man talking about anything he wants. Yeah, thank you very much. I'm going to leave it there. Go back and have a listen. Thank you very much. Take care. How many times can I say thank you? Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'll speak to you soon. Thanks for listening to Infinite Prattle with your host, Stephen. Follow me on social networks at Infinite Prattle, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks very much.